Hey everyone, I want to talk about 5 statements that we kind of hear thrown around pretty haphazardly on social media. A lot of these statements are different variations of them I've read in books, or I hear people talk about on big podcasts like Joe Rogan, or any people, or any area where you see someone who's kind of really famous. Maybe they have a lot of money, just success in acting, whatever it may be. And these are just things that you hear a lot, especially in that hustle culture that we hear about so much today. And I want to go through, I put this specifically for the WhatsApp group because being in the WhatsApp group has a very specific value. So when you come to a one-on-one and when you come to a webinar, you get to join a WhatsApp group, which has about 100 to 130 people in it from all over the world. There's all sorts of private messages that go in there, things that don't go online that make it a very unique value to that. And that's one of the things that people really love about being in the WhatsApp groups. But I wanted to read the article I just posted in there today for a YouTube video because I do think this is very important and affects the youth in a very negative way. Before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. We always appreciate the support. And we love that you can direct message Phil in that WhatsApp to get you in for the one-to-one sessions, etc. So let's jump right into it. So I titled this, Statements That Aren't What They Seem. So the first one is, this is what OCD recovery means to me. Unfortunately, this statement is seen quite frequently on social media. It's similar to, this is what sobriety means to me. But there can only be one definition of sobriety, which is the absence of drugs and alcohol. OCD recovery is the absence of chronic intrusive thoughts, images, sensations, and urges, whilst returning to a baseline level of peace through unconditional self-life and other acceptance. If we were to build a house, and 10 people said, this is a very important point. If we were to build a house and 10 people said, this is what 5,000 square feet means to me, the house would never get off the ground. Now, by the way, we quantify things like this in the realm that we live in now. One of my favorite scenes from the movie Lucy with Scarlett Johansson is when she shows up and she makes the pen float. And she says, in this world, we think 2 plus 2 equals 4, but it's never equal. 1 plus 1 equals 2, but it's never equal 2. There's actually no amount of answers to that. But our brains can't conceptualize that. We have to take that knowledge and put it down to something that humans, even the most intelligent mathematics, physics, nuclear scientists, where they can quantify data and build things in this realm. So there is some room for disputing or going back and forth and debating, but now we're getting into the extreme theoreticals. But on this world, whether we want to believe it or not, there really are one definition for multiple different things. So OCD recovery is the absence of chronic thoughts, images, sensation, urges. It's a baseline of peace. We can't say that this is what recovery means to me here. This is what recovery means to me here. A lot of people who do this, they are doing better. They're just not recovered. And that's okay, because you don't need to be recovered in order to give good advice. You don't need to be fully recovered. And remember too, chasing the line of full recovery becomes a means to an end, and you're just chasing in circles. The second one is, I never worked a day in my life. These type of fad statements look good when a multimillionaire is preaching from a stage, but life is rarely this straightforward. Let's take Stephen Wynn for an example, the godfather of Las Vegas. I've seen a personal interview with him in the BBC, I think it was about 8 or 9 years ago, where he said he never worked a day in his life because he loves his job. I've heard many people say this. So I'm 99% positive he said that in that interview. And I said, if I followed him throughout his career when he first came to Vegas in the 50s or 60s, whatever time it was, building it up, buying his first hotel, I'm pretty sure he built the first hotel over 4 stories. There were numerous annoyances and setbacks. There will never be a job you enjoy 100% of the time. This is really affecting the youth today. There is no such thing as the perfect job, and there is no such thing as never working a day in your life. That sounds very good on the title of a book, just like Mark Manson's book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. The reason why that sounds so good on the title is it empowers you. It makes you feel that that's what it is. But actually, unconditional acceptance is caring. It's just the difference between caring and over-caring. Simplifying statements to attract the masses is what most people do. The unfortunate side is there's not a lot of depth in that thinking. I know because I did this my whole life. So if it wasn't for OCD, I wouldn't think like this at all. So I'm very grateful for having OCD. The third one is, this is what being rich means to me. This is important. I live in a hut and have all the riches a man would need. Very similar to how Bob Marley would say it. Although this isn't a bad philosophy on life, it simply isn't true. You hear many people who bought a home in 1956 for $25,000 in California, and now it's worth $2 million. I'm a millionaire, but they have $10,000 in savings. The reason I'm using more financial examples is because the mindset really affects the youth. Financial freedom is quite rare, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you can't strive for it. There's only one definition of being a millionaire, and that is having $1 million in liquid cash. It's not having your house worth being a millionaire. And most people do not have $1 million. I even think the statistics which you hear about, oh, there's 900 millionaires being made every day. So much of that is saying that the home that they live in is part of their net worth. It's not really part of your net worth, because you could have a $2 million home you inherited. But if I was like, let's go to Bora Bora tomorrow on a $9,000 vacation, you would say, I can't do that. I can't. Are you kidding me? What? You're not a millionaire then. Until you sell your house, take the liquid, pay your taxes, buy a smaller property, and have that leftover cash, you're not a millionaire. This isn't semantics. This is the way of the world. And many people have a hard time accepting this, but accepting the realities of life is such an important piece of maturity, of developing unconditional self-life and other acceptance. So this is a very important thing. Number 4, it's important for others to respect your feelings. Everyone loves to have their feelings respected, and there are many benefits that come from it, but it's never needed. One way I've gotten underneath this is accepting that I come into this world alone and die alone. This may sound morbid, but there is serious truth in the statement. If everyone needed to be respected the way we feel, again, this doesn't mean there aren't benefits, then it would be so. The difference between preference and rigidity really matters here. So this is why we have so many problems in the world right now. You must respect me. You must listen to me. Nobody needs to respect you, and no one needs to listen to you. I say that with the deepest compassion and empathy. I love to feel respected. I love when my wife sees my point of view and my friends. I like it when I am seeing things on an eye-to-eye basis on coaching calls. I don't like it when people yell at me in the YouTube comments and tell me I'm an idiot or I don't know what I'm talking about. All the things that you hear. That's okay, though, because people are entitled to their own opinion. I never respond in anger, no matter what they're saying. I don't see a purpose for that. It would just make me angry, right? Anger is the poison that you drink. And I believe it was Seneca that said, the best remedy for anger is delay. So there's a lot of truth in that as well. So the 5th one is, you're a loser if you don't work hard. This statement might not be phrased like this, but it's the premise of many famous gurus that they strive towards. There's no such thing as a loser. A loser, that term specifically, didn't even exist in the past. Also, nobody can be one thing. This doesn't mean you need to work all the time or even work at all. But it would be false to state that the purposeful, driven work doesn't have more pros and cons. But it would false to state. I forgot a word there. It would be false to state that purposeful, driven work doesn't have more pros than cons. Be wary of most people in social media convincing you of hustle culture. And even if you do choose that type of life, it comes with many sacrifices. So I saw an interview of Elon Musk. I think it was on Lex Fridman. Just a clip where, he said, do you go to sleep at night alone? And he said, I do, but I never have to. And everyone in the comments says, boo-hoo, loser, billionaire, why are you complaining? But that's the philosophy of the mindset of the masses. He said, most people want to be me, but if they were me, they wouldn't want to be me. It's like when people say, I want to do what you do. I want to coach. That's a great ambition. What they don't see is back to back coaching calls with suicidal calls, people coming out of mental hospitals, changing their medication dosages when they're in a relapse, yelling, screaming, crying. They don't want it. People have a hard time even going to the gym. If you can't go to the gym and balance your structure in your life, what makes you think you're going to be able to handle 10, 40-minute coaching calls of severe, just absolute severe intensity? You're not going to be able to. It doesn't mean you can't do that. But at this time, you would fail 99% of the time. And that's okay. It's important to highlight that. If I showed up to be an underwater welder, I probably would fail or die coming back up without doing with all the stuff, the depressurization. If I tried to just hop on the Everest tomorrow, even though I'm a good hiker, I probably would be in really shit luck because I haven't trained for it at all. Maybe not. So highlighting these realities. But the loser, you see a lot of people, we all know who I'm talking about, the big gurus about hustle culture, the people who are yelling at you. Well-intentioned individuals, the problem is their methodologies of their philosophies aren't unfounded. They're very good. The problem is they're attaching that to their personhood. and that's where things are going wrong. So just some things I wanted to talk about. Remember, I think the most important one to me is that I never worked a day in my life. I think this is really destroying the work ethic of the youth because of, like, you know, I want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 23. I don't think people even really realize what that means. I want to enjoy every second of my work. Never going to happen. Then it builds low frustration tolerance. We're living in a time period where the average 30-year-olds have 25 jobs. That's not good. That's not because they're trying different things out. I don't think that's the fact. The matter of fact, I think that they can't stay in one thing because they have unrealistic expectations about work. So thank you so much for watching. Look for that link down below. I hope you liked this video. Please let me know what you think, and I hope to hear from you soon. Have a good one, everyone.